Welcome, everybody, to our October Customer of the Month. We are thrilled to be promoting KCA Labs in Kentucky. We have the CEO and founder of KCA Labs, Chris Ware, here on the call. Welcome, Chris, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, first and foremost, tell us a little bit about KCA Laboratories. I did announce your role as CEO and founder, but could you just tell us a little more about what you do, please?
Sure. For me, I put the right people with the right equipment in the right spot to really perform the best science that they can, and honestly, we firmly believe in the country for cannabis testing, the safety of consumer products that are in our industry, and primarily to evolve the science behind all that stuff. As we all know, the cannabis industry changes quite fast, and so we want to promote that through the science behind it. And so here we are at KCA, third-party analytical independent testing lab. We are in Central Kentucky, just outside of Lexington in Nicholasville, and really excited to be in this space. We've been doing it since September of 2019. So we just turned two not that long ago, and excited to keep pushing forward with providing analytics and science and everything that we do here for the rest of the industry.
That's amazing. And I was just curious, what does KCA stand for?
Kentucky Chemistry Analytical Laboratories. If you're talking to a banker or an insurance agent. So
Got it,
um,
got it. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
it's the Kentucky Cannabis Analytical Laboratories.
Great name, great name. Okay,
We,
so
as a lab, we also suffer from many of the other woes as the rest of the industry with really kind of with struggles with banking and predatory insurance practices and vendor relations, and that's where kind of where we fell in line with GenTech, because you guys support this industry when a lot of vendors won't even give us a quote. And so it's important for us to maintain those partnerships and relationships with the people that are also supporting this industry in the right way.
no, that's a really good comment. It kind of leads me into my next question. So, cannabis and hemp testing labs, like they're kind of sprouting up all over the place. It's definitely a nascent industry. There are some bad actors, and then there's some people doing things the right way. And obviously, KCA has already received some accolades for that. But just more broadly, like what makes you guys so awesome?
Well, again, we staff actual analytical chemists in an analytical chemistry lab. So it's the people behind the instruments. It's not necessarily the instruments themselves. While we do have really good instrumentation and state of the art instrumentation and facilities, it's only as good as the people behind those. So it's the staff and it's the dedication to the results and the analytics that we provide that makes us who we are, and I will always stand behind that. So again, you can have the best instruments in the world. If you don't have the people behind them that know what they're doing with them, it's to no avail. And so really it is really kind of keen behind the people that are in the lab doing the day-to-day analytics, the techniques they employ to do that successfully, and from my role, providing them with the resources to be successful for whatever assay they're trying to perform or whatever science they're evolving, or both from a production or a research side.
Perfect. And this is more of a clarification question for me. So obviously we talked about that you're located in Kentucky. You are in the, cannabis and hemp space. As of now, there is no medical market or recreational adult use market in Kentucky. However, you guys are this top lab. So could you talk a little bit more? Are you exclusively testing hemp, or do you have special exemptions to test other types of cannabis related products?
Yeah, great question. Certainly, we occupy a big footprint in the hemp space, but we also can transpire all that into the broader application of cannabis. We are licensed from the state of Kentucky Department of Ag to handle hemp under their licensure and under those statutes, but we also have our DEA registration. We are actually registered here at KCA. We're actually registered for all class substances, not just specifically class 1. And we actually did that prior to USDA's rule that stipulated that requirement as part of our research function. So we also perform research for this space on bioavailability of cannabis products, pharmacokinetics, on CBD and other cannabinoids, on how they metabolize through mammalia systems, and how they do interactions with other types of drugs. And for us specifically, that's done out of a veterinary model.
Okay.
So we are not a CLIA lab. We don't handle human specimens, but we can study those effects and how they would transgress into a human model through a veterinary, through an animal model. So horses, cats, dogs, rabbits, and so with that said, we do handle. For us, we get a sample. We don't know what the results are until we test it. So it can be hemp, it could be cannabis, it could be neither of those things. Again, we won't know until we actually test it, and that's how we kind of describe that function of the lab, being able to receive samples of unknown origin, and then that's our task, is to find out what it is.
No, that's great that you have those licenses. That probably really differentiates you from a lot of your competitors in the space, being able to do that kind of research and provide that kind of feedback. So one thing that we had talked about previously is catch. And so one of the things in this industry is, getting standardization and sort of having a benchmark or a gold standard on, who is an accredited lab and doing things the right way and being sort of monitored. So can you tell us a little bit about catch? What is catch? And then we'll talk about KCA's recent catch accreditation.
Yeah, so catch was a program that was put out by 357 Logistics, and they were in this space as a transport logistics company, and we're having really a hard time with transferring material, whether that's biomass or bulk shipments of hemp derived products or hemp itself, and so it was spawned to create this kind of threshold or above the bar golden standard in recognition of the testing behind the products that they were transporting, to get the legitimacy for those products and ultimately the safety for the transporter themselves, who was moving it, and so we engaged with that group over a year ago, and it's been quite a lengthy process, done in the right way. It's not a rubber stamp. There is certain legitimacy and value that we had to demonstrate behind it to really kind of be the to be the first one that they recognized as a provider for truly significant evaluations analytically of products that they touch and move through their own company. And so it's certainly something we're proud of and happy to be a part of, but not in a constrained or way. We recognize that it needs to be opened up to other people to support that, and we're trying to do that in the right way, alongside of the group at 357. So right now we're in developing a steering committee to really kind of give the validation and direction behind the program as it goes forward.
Yeah, that's great. So that's exactly what the industry needs. My background's manufacturing. Could say, hey, we're ISO certified, and that's sort of a minimum standard. You go to hotels, say, hey, it's AAA rated. Say, okay, some minimum standard. So Catch is trying to come out and have this minimum standard of excellence. And if you're a Catch certified lab, then you're meeting the standard, and you guys should be very proud. You're not only a Catch certified lab, you're the very, very first lab ever to receive Catch certification. So it's a huge achievement, and I'm sure you'll be looking forward to welcoming other labs in the space. But you're really leading by example. So that's awesome. So pivoting a little bit to GenTech, you're a startup. You guys have been around 2 years, and we've been around for 25. So do you recall what led you to first pursue GenTech, how you heard about us or what your need was that you reached out?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an easy question for me. That is simply, I look at the value proposition that I have for my capital, how I deploy my capital, and what I get in return. And so GenTech was a really good option for being able to enhance our lab and equip my lab with the instruments and other equipment that we need to be successful, and do that with the right vendor. Again, I mentioned it earlier that there were vendors, well-known vendors that I'm not gonna. There's no names, but they wouldn't even provide us with a quote for instrumentation, and that was simply because of the industry we were entering into. GenTech has been very open and willing to service this industry and to service KCA labs, more importantly. And so we really treasure that value that we get from our vendors that don't shy away from what we're doing and why we're doing it and the industry we're in, as opposed to some of the ones we've had a really difficult time getting traction or validity with because of us being in the cannabis space.
Okay. So it sounds like our openness to cannabis is one of the things that made GenTech a good fit. What's your absolute favorite thing about working with GenTech?
Customer relations is always good. And also, you keep a current list of instrumentation. If you don't have that, you're not going to tell me that you do. And you've helped us out with finding equipment that you may not necessarily have in inventory at the moment. I know that there's some other vendors out there that will advertise having something and actually don't have it, which is really frustrating from an acquisition standpoint when I'm trying to acquire a new piece of instrumentation and there's a lot of concerted efforts that are wasted in pursuing that with people that don't have what they represent that they have. GenTech doesn't do that to us, and we appreciate just the transparency on what those offerings are, in addition to, again, the customer service. The last piece that we just bought from you guys was we needed something else as small as this. I think it was like a needle that went into the instrument that we bought from you guys, and Dr. Van Heems, all he did was reach out via email and said, hey, I think this was, we needed this part still, and it showed up in 2 or 3 days, which is really nice, and we really value that. Anything is, again, as small as a little needle that was 2 inches or as big as an entire instrument platform has been very helpful for us.
That's great to hear. So can you tell us a little bit more about these instruments? Like, a lot of people who tune into this are hardcore scientists. So if you could just tell us a little bit about the instruments in your lab, like what your workhorses are.
Absolutely. So we've got HPLC, UHPLC, GC, gas chromatography, FIDs, flame ionization detection. We've got GC, MS triple quad, LCMS triple quad, a second LCMS triple quad. We've got ICPMS, and we've got PCRs, all kinds of stuff. Lots of acronyms there. But again, if you're tuned in, you pretty well know what those are. And so part of that is utilizing the different features of each of those instruments. I tell people that come to the lab to visit, it's not one instrument or another. You look at this like an orchestra. They all work in harmony to provide the best science and the best analytics that we can using those instruments. So we'll use cannabinoids for an example. We often just don't run cannabinoids on an HPLC specifically. We use it as part of as part of an orchestra. So we would use the data off the HPLC, off of the GCMS, and off of the LCMS to really get the full composition of what a sample is made of, and its cannabinoid. And the cannabinoids that may be in it. Each one of those has its different and unique application to making the correct determination. And so it's very important to, and again, we provide that back to the clients. It's not our, the stuff that the data and the information that come off those instruments is not KCA's data, it's our client's data. And so we want to be able to provide that back to them. Again, we don't own that; it's the clients, and we want, and that's what we want to provide back to them.
That's perfect. You alluded this a little bit, but do you have any tips or suggestions for somebody in a similar space, another startup lab such as yourself? Any advice for those newer labs out there who are aspiring to be like KCA?
It's not as easy as people may think it may make it out to be. That is for sure. So certainly want to welcome this space for other entrepreneurs to come into, because it's a really valued spot in the industry. A lot of things funnel through the lab from top to bottom and bottom back up, and it's a very unique spot. Don't take that for granted, because you need to really appreciate that from where you sit as a lab, and what you provide to your clients, and how that in turn can trickle out into a consumer market of potentially individuals that have no idea that labs sit around in this space and do the testing behind it. But really know how to deploy your capital correctly is important. But don't short yourself on having the right staff to do that, and perform the function of an analytical lab.
Those are great tips. Okay, so October is Cannabis Month here at GenTech, and so we really, again, are happy to be promoting KCA Labs. Are there any other news or promotions going on there that we can tell our GenTech audience about? Anywhere, any conferences you may be attending, or items on the horizon for KCA?
Yeah, certainly. We'll be attending the NJ BizCon conference coming up later this month in Las Vegas. That's going to coincide uniquely with the announcement of our scope expansion for our ISO 17025 accreditation. We're really excited. We've been really trying to enhance that, both for our own reasons, but to offer that out for our clients. So that's going to include a really broad expansion of our cannabinoid assays, even more specialized selective cannabinoid testing on some materials that are hitting the market that are new, the delta 8s and delta 10s and hydrohexacannabidiols. That is also going to be, we're also incorporating the expansion of our pesticide assays to encapsulate what's going on in Colorado, and they've expanded their list of pesticides, but honestly to kind of be a catch-all for anyone that is trying to sell anywhere. So the side of this is something we're trying to tackle from a harmonization aspect, and we're trying to do that by offering the most expansive scopes with all of our testing for someone that wants to test something and be able to sell it in California or in Colorado or in Florida or in Maine or in Mississippi or in Michigan. So all the sides, because it's something that we don't want clients wasting money on, because we're not able to provide a certain analyte or a certain list of something that may be required in the state that they're selling their products in.
Yeah. No, we struggle with that too. Whenever someone's trying to develop a method, we usually say go with California because it's the strictest. If it passed California, it'll pass another. But that's really valuable for your clients. Now, you're not having a booth, correct? You're just going to be walking the show?
No, but we'll be walking the show, and you're certainly able to reach out to us, and we're glad to connect there. We actually just launched our new website last week, so it's got a more customer-facing aspect to it, with the ability for clients to get into their portal for their reports, or to submit samples, or to do data aggregation on their own results.
Okay. So you are on LinkedIn, correct, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody listening who wants to try to set up a one-on-one with Chris, he will be at MJ BizCon. You can obviously meet at the GenTech booth if you need a spot, but feel free to reach out to him on LinkedIn to set up appointments, to have one-on-one meetings if that's your preference, GenTech listeners. Okay, Chris, we're going to pivot into our exciting lightning round if you're ready. This is where we get to know the real Chris Ware. Now, don't think too hard. You just do your first reaction, okay? Are you ready?
Yep.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Are you an early riser? Or are you a night owl?
Both.
You can't do that. All you scientists want to say that answer. Okay, what is it?
Let's just say early riser.
All right, never goes to sleep. All right, would you rather be reading a book or watching a movie? Book. Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Vanilla. Are you a big picture kind of guy, or are you a real detail-orientated sort of person?
Big picture.
Yeah, if you're CEO, you kind of got to be. All right, country or city?
City.
Would you rather be camping or spending a night at the Ritz?
Camping.
Okay. Garlic or onion?
Pass.
Oh, pass. All right. Okay, and finally, our most important question. Would you rather be attending the Kentucky Derby or the Super Bowl?
Kentucky Derby.
All day long. That's what we figured. Okay. So that concludes our interview with our October Customer of the Month, KCA Labs CEO and founder, Chris Ware. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to meeting you in person at MJ Biz. We'll do a follow-up live interview for our audience, and thanks for being a GenTech customer, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us and representing us this month in October, harvest season.
Woo! All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Okay, bye.
Bye.